Donald Trump's and Kamala Harris's tax policies are on completely different tracks.
I will pass gigantic tax cuts for workers and keep their jobs here in the United States.
Billionaires and big corporations must pay their fair share in taxes.
Trump has a whole range of tax cuts that he's looking to implement, and he's proposing to raise tariffs significantly, which could help cover some of those costs. Harris, on the other hand, has a bunch of tax cuts and then is proposing trillions of dollars of tax increases, mostly on corporations and high-income households. But they're running in different directions, reshaping who pays taxes in America.
On one track, Trump has
All right, I'm going to say this. So what we have, and it's always going to be like this, guys, we're going to have proposed tax cuts or proposed tax increases. But as president, you don't write the bills, you sign the bills. So for you to say that, oh, well, I propose that Trump could say that he proposed $5 trillion in tax cuts. Harris could say that she proposes $5 trillion in tax increases. Who makes the bills, guys? The Congress and the Senate. Without those two entities, it would pretty much be King Trump and Queen Harris. So I don't understand when they say that they want to propose these things. If we have something like where the Senate is right now, where it's a 50-50 split, or if we have where the Republicans might run the Congress, but maybe the Democrats might run the Senate, like we still have to work together. Like it amazes me when they talk about all these proposals and stuff like that, instead of saying, hey, listen, America, what do you want? What do you want? And I'm going to do my best to advocate for it and make sure it happens. That's all. Because the president really is not the person who makes the laws. Like I said, it's Congress and the Senate. Please remember that. This is why voting is so important. Vote for your congressmen. Vote for your U.S. senators. Even voting in your local elections. It is so important that you guys do that, because these presidents or these people who run for president can say anything they want to say. But really and truly, what affects you is the people that's behind closed doors that they have to meet with. Those are the people who really make a difference.
Proposed roughly $2 trillion more in tax cuts than Harris, and would impose major tariffs on imported goods, which could help pay for those cuts. On the opposite track, Harris would cut taxes for households that make under $400,000 and would raise taxes on corporations and the rich. This is how...
Let's go back to that real quick. All right, so let's take a look at this right here. So we have the 2017 tax cuts, right? So now that sunsets at the end of next year. This is why Trump wants to come in, because if he can get those tax cuts extended, that would actually help the corporations that he's a part of. All right. Then he wants to decrease corporate taxes to 15% for corporations who build goods in America. Now, that would help American jobs, because we have a lot of jobs that went overseas. This has been happening since the 90s with NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, okay? And it caused a lot of those jobs, those manufacturing jobs, to be pushed out. Now, if they can get some of those manufacturing jobs to be brought back here, that would be good. But there's something that they're not talking about. We can cut taxes for these corporations, but I don't see or hear anyone talking about the minimum wage. The U.S. minimum wage is $7.25. That minimum wage has not gone up since 2009, when Uncle Obama was in office. Like, what has changed? What have we seen change? We have seen that inflation has gone up. It should be that the minimum wage should be on par with inflation. In fact, in my opinion, I feel the federal minimum wage needs to be at least $15 an hour. Because when you have the minimum wage set that low, guess what happens? These migrants that come in, or immigrants that come in legally or illegally, now that's the benchmark that they will pay them. So now if you have the minimum wage up, you will have more American workers who will be willing to take those jobs. I'm not going to work no damn minimum wage job when you can't even afford a house in minimum wage. That's ridiculous. Come on now. The average income in America right now is about between $40,000 and $50,000. There's only a select amount of areas in the country that you can afford a dang on house. So you're telling me if the minimum wage is $7.25, that's about $15,000. That is $35,000 less than what we can what we need to afford a house. Just crazy.
$1,000 and would raise taxes on corporations and the rich. This is how Trump's plan could work. Trump is borrowing much of his tax policy plans from his previous stint in the White House. He wants to extend the tax cuts he signed into law in 2017. The tax bill from 2017 made a number of changes, including lower tax rates, an increased standard deduction, and doubling the child tax credit. But those changes for households are set to expire at the end of 2025. The tax cuts Trump has proposed.
Okay, so now we have to really think about that real quick. So now, yes, it did lower the tax rates and everything, but the Trump tax plan, and a lot of people have complained that a lot of the jobs have not been withholding the correct amount under the Trump tax plan. And a lot of people are complaining that they're actually paying more money in taxes because of the Trump tax plan. Me personally, I feel we are. And the reason why is because improper deductions. Okay, the companies are not improper deductions, improper withholdings. These jobs are not withholding the correct amount of money to make sure that we either our tax bill is set to zero, or we get a refund. There's so many of my friends and family members have told me that Akil, we are not getting the refunds that we got before the Trump tax plan. And it's sad that a lot of people are going through this. So if he wants to extend these tax cuts, we really, really need to get these corporations on par to make sure that they are withholding the correct amount, because a lot of people across the country are complaining, and this is getting out of control. So if Uncle Trump gets elected and he really wants to help the people, make sure that these corporations are withholding the correct amount. That's what I would tell him if he would ever listen to me. But hey, we don't know. So let's continue.
On the 2024 campaign trail could come at a heavy cost, more than $6.5 trillion over 10 years. Extending the tax cuts past 2025 could end up costing the federal government more than $4 trillion over a decade. Trump recently proposed a lower corporate tax rate of 15% that would only apply to companies that make products in the U.S., estimated to reduce federal revenue by $200 billion over the next decade.
A reduction in the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15% solely for companies that make their product in America.
Trump has suggested eliminating the income tax on Social Security benefits. In 2022, almost half of Social Security recipients paid those taxes.
I feel that would be good. All right. I have a lot of family members. Well, not a lot of family members, but my grandmother gets Social Security. My aunt, who's 94, she gets Social Security. My younger aunt also gets Social Security as well. My mother's planning on retiring soon. She's going to be getting Social Security. So there's a lot of people that I know that get Social Security. And I also have neighbors and stuff that get Social Security. So yes, their Social Security should not be taxed. All right. The reason why it's taxed is because a couple of boneheads back then decided that, hey, look, we're going to cap the Social Security tax rate, where it only taxes up to $120,000, and we're going to have it where all income gets taxed. That's ridiculous. Okay, I feel that if they really, really want to save Social Security, because this tax rate right here might not be able to help Social Security, but it will help the recipients. But if they want to help Social Security, I'm going to go off on a tangent real quick. They should end the cap on wages that be taxed by Social Security and lower the Social Security rate to, instead of 6%, what it is right now, they should lower it to 3%. Right then and there, what that would do is that will lower people taxes. People would see a return and they'll be like, oh snap, now my taxes have been lowered, but more money will come into it because you'll be able to tax all income and also be able to tax capital gains. Put that 3% no matter what capital gains, long-term or short-term capital gains. And I have something about capital gains tax as well that we'll talk about. But let's see what Uncle Trump also have to talk about.
There will be no tax on Social Security. We're going to stop it. No tax on Social Security.
Ending income taxes on Social Security benefits could cost the federal government as much as $1.8 trillion in revenue over a decade. By one estimate, ending those taxes would cause the Social Security fund to become insolvent 1 year earlier than previously forecast.